Ooh, all right.
What the is we doing?
Do you think that you are toxic?
No.
Why not?
I potentially could be, yeah. Yeah.
You know where my trust issues come from? People who just be lying for no reason. And yes, I do that sometimes, okay? I do. But it's only okay when I do it. Like, if I'm telling a story and you don't seem interested, I have to tell you that I'm seeing visions of, like, John F. Kennedy or something. But some people just do it for no reason. Like, I will be attentively listening to a story and will be like, and then the president walked in. Why? Like, what is the reason?
Why am I out here lying about the most random things for no reason?
How was your morning?
Oh, it was good. I had waffles for breakfast.
Okay, blah. I did not have waffles for breakfast.
Want to try this?
Yeah, what flavor?
It's birthday cake.
It looks like mint.
No, it's birthday cake.
So my mother actually went in labor with me in that street.
I thought you were born in Texas.
No, actually right there. Crazy. I just feel like, connected to this place. Sorry if I'm slow. Actually broke my right ankle last weekend.
Oh, seriously?
Oh yeah, it was horrible. Fast recovery, but oh my gosh. Should never break your right ankle. I don't recommend.
Why the right one specifically?
You got a problem with lying. What's wrong? What you keep lying about? And I sent that passage today. Now why you keep lying?
Now, the spirit of exaggeration is a little funny. It's very similar to the spirit of lying, okay? But different in the same token. We're going to talk about it more, but first, hey friend, welcome to my channel, Karina Elude Mental Gems. This channel is dedicated to leveling up in all areas of your life. So let us learn together, read together, but most importantly, grow together. Now, without further ado, let's get into this video. Let's talk all about the spirit of exaggeration. Now, that is a term, I don't know if anybody else have said that, but it came to me. It came to me just like that. I'll say the Lord just put in my spirit to talk about it. Great minds think alike if anybody else have talked about that. But if it's your first time hearing about it, then the Lord is speaking to you because it came to me. There was a time in my life that I dealt with the spirit of exaggeration where I was exaggerating everything in my life. And exaggerating doesn't just mean lying. Now, hear me out. The exaggeration of illnesses, the exaggeration of things that are just, for me specifically, what I used to exaggerate was bad things that would happen in my life. In the sense, like, you make everything bigger than what it is. Like, oh my goodness, I'm in pain. And it starts when you're really young. If you didn't, it starts when you're really young. You're in pain. Oh, but it's the worst, most excruciating pain. Although it's bearable, you do it to get out of doing stuff, right? You don't want to do chores. You want extra attention. You want to get away with something. Oh yeah, this unbearable. Oh my goodness, I'm a damsel in distress. I'm helpless. Help me. Da-da-da. Exaggerating. Dramatics, right? So it's the same as the spirit of being dramatic, basically. So I dramatized everything. This stuff would happen for real, but you dramatize it to get out of doing stuff, to, what you do. But then I noticed that some people would take it far. Some people would take it far. And I've had my times, especially when you're young, you take it really, really far, where you even start to lie. You start to lie because they're hand in hand together, right? To exaggerate is to lie, where you exaggerate the truth. And one of the things that used to happen to me with the spirit of exaggeration was, because I came from poverty, we were poor, very, very poor when we first came from Haiti. And my friends that I had were always doing better than us. That's how I felt. I always felt like everyone around me was doing better than me. So I had to exaggerate my circumstances so it doesn't look that bad. Like, oh, we're not doing as bad as we're doing. Like, I wouldn't let people know just how bad it is. And I'd make excuses that were dramatic for why we're in the circumstance that we're in circumstance. So I used to not want friends to come to my house to see the condition of my house. Our house, we didn't have like tiles or carpet or anything. It was just like the pavement sidewalk where you're outside. That's how it was in there. So I'm like, I don't want central heating, nothing like that. It was just not the place. It was an old house built in the 1800s and just not the business. So I'd make all these excuses as to why people couldn't come into the house and be very dramatic, exaggerating about it just to keep people away, right? And my mom wasn't with us. She was left behind in Haiti, papers, trying to get everything together. They just didn't want to really approve her papers like that. So it was also an insecurity as a kid to not have your mom present. So it was also immigrants. When you're immigrant, you feel embarrassed to be an immigrant, especially in America where immigrants were the butt of every joke. That's all people talk about, especially now it's a political thing, whatever. You feel constant shame. And if you're a child, like you didn't ask to be here, your parents just came here and seeking a better life for you, but you don't understand as a child. So you're just seeing it like they did this big evil by taking you from a place where no one would have picked on you for being Haitian. But now you brought me to this place where the stench of being an immigrant follows you, and you don't want to tell people that you have family left behind, like your mom is left behind in Haiti. Like it was an embarrassing thing. So you'd start to just create stories again. And I'm seeing all the root causes of where these things were coming from, where you embellish your life. Like I would embellish my life, literally, like to make it better than what was the circumstances. And I'd just be like, Lord, I always consciously, I'd feel bad about it because we're taught really early not to embellish, not to, fabricate and, make things look pretty when it's not pretty, just to tell the truth. So I always felt bad about it. But in the same token, I just wouldn't stop until I got into college, really, like my freshman year of college. I was like, oh well, if you don't accept my truth for what it is what it is. That's when my confidence was boosted to be like, I don't have to embellish anything, right? It is what it is. But all through from like high school to elementary, that's what it was. Now it's like the truth shall set you free. Y'all see, Kareen that talks to you guys on this channel, and I tell you guys all about my childhood and growth, my testimony. This Kareen is not a Kareen that old Kareen would recognize. High school Kareen, middle school Kareen would not recognize this Kareen. Like you publicly telling people you were poor. You're publicly telling people your mom was left behind. You're publicly talking about your the bad things about you, all the things you've overcame and stuff like that. Kareen would have been mortified, right? But that was just the reality. And I realized that a lot of us are plagued by the spirit of embellishment, dramatics, and exaggeration. And I've noticed it in people where, like, I'll go on a date and I don't know, I'm like a human lie detector. I don't know. So I could tell when something's being embellished or exaggerated, a lifestyle. And I'm like, why is this person lying to me about their finances or about their lifestyle or about XYZ? Why, right? And it's you try to understand why they're lying about it, whether they're just trying to impress you or they feel like the truth might scare you off, or you might not be interested anymore if they tell you the truth, blah, blah, blah. All these reasons. So I can see it the more I talk, and I'm like, dang, people do it a lot when they date. Even friends, when you first become friends with someone, you want to make a good first impression. The spirit of exaggeration comes with trying to make a good first impression, not appearing, you want to appear fun. You don't want to be sucky, lame, boring. So, it creates the butterfly, the halo effect when you first meet someone. You're not yet comfortable to just be your real self. So you either exaggerate or downplay. I find because of YouTube and stuff like that and having more of a platform, I tend to downplay things more, which I feel is very similar to the spirit of exaggeration, where it's like you downplay because you don't want people to know who you are or what you got going on, or people that start to make a little bit, that's doing better in their life, they downplay for others for it to not spark envy or unnecessary attention and this and that, which is not a bad thing, but it can be if not you're selling yourself short to make other people comfortable. You know what I'm saying? And it's humility is thanking God for all that you have, knowing that you didn't get anything for yourself. God gave you everything, and you're not using what you have to oppress others and think you're better than anybody. But God wants our life to be a testimony. If the Lord has blessed you, shout it from the mountaintops that he has blessed you, you know? So a lot of times we play God when we don't share our testimonies. This is what the Lord has done for me, because we're downplaying the positions he's put us in life. And I learned that, like, I'm downplaying a lot to the point where it's like, has God not been good to me? Why can't my life be a testimony? I can tell people that, listen, I was poor. I had sidewalk for flooring in my home. We had no AC unit. We used to sleep with the air dryer under our covers, me and my sister, to warm us up, the heat from the blow dryer. That's what used to heat us up on really, really cold nights. We'd have it plugged and we'd take turns, and then we got to remember to shut it off so it don't burn, you know? Just terrible. And if you want the whole house to be warm, it's gotten too cold, you turn on the oven. After a while, you leave the oven door open to kind of spread the heat throughout the house. We had to get creative. But praise God, look at me now. Look at me now. That's a blessing. That's not something to hide. I'm able to turn on heat whenever I want. I have AC when it's really hot outside. I can turn on AC. I have good blankets. I have comfy socks. I have food and tiles and carpet. And, you know, like, I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I can take care of myself. This is where God has taken me. But imagine people that knew me from that era that remembers, if I'm still downplaying, God has been good to me. And that's okay. So I don't necessarily believe the spirit of downplaying is the right way to do, like, oh, let's be the opposite of exaggeration, because you don't want to insult God and all that he's done for you. But there's a balance. You don't want to throw all your wealth in people's face or how good he's been to you and stuff like that either. But if asked, you know, you don't have to constantly just make it seem like you're miserable this when you're not. But exaggeration can be lying and dating, deceiving others, you know. And then exaggerating, there's people like that made money throughout history from lying about illnesses, like saying they have cancer when they don't, and they make money off of it. There's been stories that's been made on those type of people here. Like Kendall Ray did a video on some lady. She lied about her whole health, raised money and all of that for attention. And then there's people that have been around. I'm like, you know, you're healed, you're feeling better, but they'll continue to get attention from it, just exaggerating and being dramatic about everything. And it comes from a wounded little person, right? The little boy in you, the little girl in you, wounded, that hasn't healed, that you still feel like you have to prove something. That's where it comes from. Once we heal, a lot change. And it was just in my spirit to talk about that, because somebody might be dealing with that. I dealt with it. You might be young and you feel like, you know, but listen, people are going to love you for you. If people are loving you, but they don't know the real you, they're not loving you for real. They're loving the image of you, the facade of you. Just like in dating, keep it real. This is where I'm at right now. This is where I'm trying to be. I don't got to lie to impress you. I don't got to sell you a dream. Because once the person realizes you lied and you fabricated, that betrayal, it's not cute. We've lost their trust forever. And I think you lead with honesty and just say, this is where you're at. People respect honesty. People respect people that are, let's just keep it real. It took me a while to learn that. Like, this is just my life, yo. Like, I'm poor right now, you know, but the Lord will come through. He will come through. And he did. But I can't believe the lengths I would go through. Like, I would go through great lengths to keep people from coming to my house. I lied about a fire in the kitchen. I lied about so many things. And at one point I would try to make it seem like, no, my dad's just really mean. He don't want us to have guests. Whatever the stupid, and it was the opposite. My dad didn't care. Like, he didn't care. But, you know, the great lengths that I'd go through just from the shame of our circumstances is just stuff that I just wouldn't do now. And then just the lies I would say about where my mom is. Like, what's up with your mom? Why is she not here? When you're a kid, you really don't understand, but this is where the comfortability starts with lying. And, you know, the devil is the father of lies, and you don't want to inherit any of his traits. You want to be the child of God, and you have to live in truth. And to live in your truth is where I'm at. The circumstances of my life is what it is. Let me not fabricate, flex, try to make things better than what it is or less than what it is. This is where we're at. This is what it is. And we have to be freed from that. We have to be freed from that. It has been liberating to be honest about my circumstances. It has been liberating to just be free. And I really feel like if you struggle with this, you have no idea how liberating it is to just, this is where you're at. Like, no one can hold anything against you. Your life can be a testimony. You can help somebody else out. Somebody else can be inspired from you. I've noticed that people that's been in positions in me that's probably wasn't even as bad as mine, but they saw, dang, if Corrine could make it, look at her now. There's hope for me. There's hope for me. Because you're in the hood too. You're struggling too. You probably don't know where your next meal gonna come from. Somebody made it. Like, all those stories of people that made it big, that became successful, we heard and know their stories. And then when they make it, it inspires us. The little girl in us, the little boy in us that was poor. Those motivational stories would inspire me. And I'm like, dang, it's possible. Your story might be what inspires somebody. Like, oh, one day, the little girl that used to go nowhere but home, school, and church, because they couldn't afford to even go to Disneyland or Disney World, now is traveling the world. Went to Disney more than she can count. That can happen for me too. The girl that had one pair of shoes for the year, two. One shoe for school, which was a tennis shoe. You get a neutral color, and then one shoe for church. Now I can have a closet full of clothes. That can inspire somebody, you know? You just make it happen. And in Haiti, it was even worse because when I was in Laguna with my mom, where she was at before Port-au-Prince, I talked about this before, like, you'd have one of everything. At times, there was kids in our neighborhood, and at times when it was really bad, we'd have one pair of underwear. You had to wash that thing, let it dry. That's just what you had. It was that bad. Oh my goodness, God is good. And if the lining came out of that underwear after because we were clean, honey. You had to wash your clothes every day, even if you had one pair of clothes to go to school with. The lining would come out of the underwear. And guess what? You take one of the brugogo, that's what you call it. I don't know how you call it in English. I'll put a picture for y'all, knockers. You wrap that thing around the culotte, the underwear, you keep it steady on you, or an elastic band, and you just, tighten that thing, and you wore it till you literally could not no more, and then you get a new one. It was that bad. And when you see people, sometimes they make it, it's not that they're flexing. It's like, dang, I really remember where I came from. And this was the norm for kids in my neighborhood. But that's embarrassing to tell people that is not from that lifestyle or wouldn't understand your story. Like, there was a time I would have been embarrassed to say this. Like, are you kidding me? Like, you have thousands of people that's going to see this video, Corrine. Like, why would you share that? That's embarrassing. But I guarantee you right now, there's someone watching that's either going through that right now or probably went through it and know somebody that went through it. Like, we go through things. If we just stop caring, like, being transparent about what we go through, listen, I regret all the days I would exaggerate and make it seem like things were good. I used to tell people, oh, I came from wealth in Laguna, whatever. No, I didn't know wealth. I didn't know wealth in Haiti until I moved in with my dad right before we came into the United States. And I already spoke about that in my testimony story, which I think I'll pin in the comments for you guys. If you haven't seen, I posted that where I tell the full story of my childhood. It's a testimony to me. But poverty was strong. It was a strong stench. It was a strong insecurity for me. And it led me to exaggerate and embellish and be ashamed. And yeah, it's not of God. And now once you finally make it, you want to downplay. You feel like you don't even deserve it. You have imposter syndrome, and it's hard to enjoy the fruits of your labor, and you downplay. You don't want people to think you're being arrogant, but like literally, you know, you've been through it. You've been through it. This is all I have to say for this video. Comment below if you could relate. If you know somebody that deal with this spirit, send this video to them like, sis, you don't have to exaggerate. You don't have to embellish. It's okay. Okay, let your life be a testimony. It is what it is. Where you are, let people meet and accept you where you are. I love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in. I will see you in the next one.